Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. All right, Scorpio, we're here. Here together. It is so humid where I am right now. It's only in the 80s, but with the humidity, the heat index, it's like over 100 degrees. It is very, very swampy. So let me just tell you that because it will add a layer, like a very thick layer to this reading. You have to understand the context of which I'm reading in. So, Scorpio, we start with the art card, right? This is that alchemical process, all kind of brought together in this beautiful image of, well, the combination, right? The processes, that classic moon, the lunar, and I say her first, so yes, I do. The lunar energy, and then we have that solar energy, and we bring them together, and they create the star. So it is a balancing, it is a mixing, a union, a belovedness, and also really the implication, right, that whomever is involved in this energy, right? Witnessing this energy, experiencing this energy, is somebody who is intentionally doing the work. Now, I don't mean, just like career or whatever work is, within your domestic, within your, maybe family, local community, right? Your responsibilities, the things that are required of you or, well, just, assumed you're going to do them. No, this is not what I mean. I'm talking about the work, capital, the work. The magnum opus, if you will. The great works of your life. The reason you're here. What Western Hermeticists would say is, right, your true will. What I like to call our original virtue. So, we're going to see what is going on in your life that this energy is so potent. All right, we're going to turn this bowl. And I have to tell you, in these dogged days of summer, and yes, the cicadas are out in full force. Well, not like those big, mass rising of cicadas, but the normal, they're called dog day cicadas, actually. They have shown up where I'm at, and boy, I feel like this time of year is so potent with spiritual energy. I know we really think of it as being in these like maybe cooler autumn, winter months where it's like, oh, the veil is thinned, and it is, right? It is thinned. But here, this part of the year, it is like the wild portal of just energetic expression pouring out. Now, I know in the Southern Hemisphere, this is like backwards. Okay, so I'm sorry. I don't mean to leave you out. Although you're in that thin veil era, right? In the deep winter. But here up where I'm at, it is hot and you can feel it. You can see it in people, the way that they behave. Their quickness to anger and being impulsive. Almost kind of this like a mania of contagion, right? Just like completely spreading through groups of people. So, you hope, right? We're going to go out and enjoy it. dance beneath the moon. Well, the moon's gone, actually. It is we're coming up on that new moon. Now, I keep looking at this, and I cannot get over. It reminds me of Pazuzu or Zuzu, however it is pronounced. I don't know, but this is a wind deity, a spirit of the winds, specifically in the Middle East, right? A desert spirit, almost kind of, I would say, transient, not exactly like the jinn, where the jinn are really like a race of entities, and they span the spectrum of benevolence to malevolence, and they always get a bad rap. They really do, but they're very closely related in that they are elementally related to, well, like smoke, dust. If you could imagine like a fire in the middle of the desert at night, and the smoke that is going out into the air. This is kind of that inner. This is where they dwell elementally. Well, Azuzu is actually, the wind god. So, and I know we have to. If you know who I'm talking about, you know where this is going. Maybe is portrayed in popular culture in The Exorcist, actually, and this is that little totem that is dug up, and I think it might be in the second Exorcist. Maybe it's in the first one. I can't remember. The third one is my favorite. I know, ridiculous, right? But that's the best one, in my opinion. Kind of like it seems like a demon, right? And maybe is, I don't know. I have no experience with this deity myself. But I do feel like there was almost kind of a situation that was very unfair. Almost kind of like, well, like you've done all the work, like you've been doing this work for years, and then all of a sudden there's like a change in like ownership at work, or they're starting to like lay people off. And I don't know why I said that word out loud. I don't like to invoke it, but I do feel like there's almost a sense of like, I'm safe, I'm secure here, but then you're like one of the first people to go, and there's no rhyme or reason. I mean, I'm sure you can figure out like, to some degree, right? But it feels so unfair because you have devoted so much of your time and energy to this work, to this company, to this business or whatever, and they don't have the same loyalty. But there is, where the air and this energy comes in, is that all of a sudden there's a sharp shift in how things are arranged. And really that is like, a business change, or maybe there's like a separation, or maybe a union, a new relationship, you just moved in with somebody, whatever it is. There's a shift in your life followed by, some turmoil that really doesn't seem fair. And I don't think that, you are experiencing it as something that you just accept, right? Because it doesn't feel fair. Now, I will say, I think it's out of your hands. The decision has been made, whatever it is. So I think that in this period of time, it is going to be a little bit about acceptance, okay? A little bit about this absolutely isn't fair and it shouldn't have gone down like this, but this is what we're dealing with. This is what happened. This is where we're at. And what now? Right? I feel like for you, you're acutely aware that this is not the place to stop and lament. Maybe lick your wounds a little bit, but you got to pull yourself together because things are moving quickly. I don't know what it is about life right now, but I don't care how much we try to slow it down. Things are just going so quickly. And maybe it's because I'm getting older. I don't know. But it feels like time is short. There's not enough time in the day. So I do feel like for you, and now I pull this out and it looks like we have a bat. Okay, you can see the head and the ears, and here are the wings. Okay, so this to me indicates that there is a shift towards the night side. Okay, we also have, now we're not going to look at this as like a Zuzu, and I don't know if his name is Pazuzu or a Zuzu or what, but that I'm just going to say a Zuzu, and I'm sorry if I might be conflating like two deities together, but yeah, that's how I'm going to say it. So we're done with that part, right? But it does look like a little bat as well. So we have big bat, little bat. So I'm going to say this is like, your child, your grandchild, somebody, maybe your little sister you're very close with. But this is somebody who is like, you're like twinning. You're dressing the same way. You enjoy each other's company. It's not just like, oh, I'm babysitting my grandkids and I love them and they're great. But, you don't have that like deep, like, besties kind of energy. Well, not the case here. I think this is somebody in your life that you love so deeply, you get on with so well. And I think you both are night people. And here's the deal. Whatever happened, right? Whatever's going on in your life, it's something that maybe feels really devastating and like you don't know how you're going to get through it. But it is little things, and they're really not actually the little things. The shift in our life, things not going our way, those are the little things because we'll get through that stuff. Absolutely, we will. The big things are our connections with our people, the things that we love to do, the ability to, be up late at night with our granddaughter that's like 14 and likes to stay up all night watching, tea leaf readings or whatever, whatever. But you get to like hang out and it feels like this is what life is about. This is the quality time, right? This is going camping. This is going out late at night in the back of the truck and looking at the stars. This is, going for a walk as the sun goes down and, the fireflies come out. And you know what? I live in a place where there still are fireflies. Can you believe that? There's so many of them. Whatever it is, this is the stuff that gets you through life. Not even gets you through life. This is the stuff that makes life. This is what makes life. And so I feel you really leaning in to these connections in your life, in your experience right now. Okay? So as you are feeling the anxieties of the greater, oppressive nature of being a human being and also being an adult and also some reason being an adult that people trust to do things and be responsible. I don't know how they could confuse me with that person, but somehow they do. There is this time here. There's a time here for you to think. Think about at least three things. that you would say are your happiest connections, your happiest things to do together, your happiest places to go? You know, I don't care if it's like sitting in bed, eating popcorn, you know, watching, YouTube shows or whatever, movies, renting movies on YouTube. I'm trying to think what we can do over here on YouTube. But, you know, and just being cozy and lazy and restful. And I shouldn't say lazy, restful, right? Being in that connection, being in that nest, that beautiful place of recharge, right? That place where we really can, like, recharge ourselves. And so whatever those things are, I want you to try to do at least one of them. Now, I'm not saying it has to be anything expensive or super time consuming. If it's just like this week, we're going to have at least one meal together every day. I know that's not always easy, you know, depending on how your life is set up. But if you live together, right? Or if you are at least in the same area, maybe you do it on, you know, FaceTime or whatever, if you're not close. But making a goal to really intentionally have some time together, having one meal even in a week together, making sure that you text every day or whatever it is. But I think that this is a time where you lean into that, and that is going to be the thing. Now, I'm not saying this one connection or, you know, this one place in your life is going to fix everything, but I really have a strong belief the only way that we can really push back against the anxieties of life is by actively partaking in the things that fill us up, right? I know it feels meaningful to suffer through things. I know it feels like, well, you know, maybe it's, you don't even want people to see how hard you're working, but, you know, there's kind of a little pridefulness in doing the hard thing and staying with it. And, you know, and I get that. I will let you know all day, every day that I've met certain goals. Like, you're not going to forget. I'm not going to let you forget. Okay. So I might be a little bit of a gloater, but I'm a recovering super self-loathing cynic. So listen, I'm trying to find my balance too. Okay. But yeah, I do. I feel like this is going to be the place for you where things are really going to get, you know, worked out. And I feel like a lot in the emotional sectors. I think that's the big thing, is those emotional sectors. I feel like it's just been a lot. It's been a lot this last little while. I mean, you know, everybody's been going through it, but I feel like you've been really feeling, that there needs to be some kind of shift. And, you know, I think that happened probably without you being super ready for it. But I think, you know, deep down, once everything gets sorted, you're going to be able to look at this and say, okay, that's what needed to happen. Okay, so we have a person sleeping here. We have, look at that. It's like the Jack and the Beanstalk. Okay, now we also have, it looks like E9, or it looks like it could be 39. Okay, we also have a few little birds kind of around, and then we have a large one. Now this one's holding a heart. Okay, the birds are often the messengers. This is also a high-flying bird. So I do feel that oh my goodness, look, that bird, and it reminds me of Ganesh on top, the elephant deity. one of health and prosperity and good luck. And actually, look at that. If I'm looking at this more, it doesn't look like so much a 9, but a 3. So E3 or 33. And then we have the number 124. So, and then down here, look at this. We have a person in a boat who's catching a large fish. Okay, so this feels very, very lucky. Not just lucky. I mean, you are doing the hard work. We can see that with the fishing. But, okay, so there is very much you have the dream of reconnecting with somebody or having a chance to connect with somebody again. Okay, so I don't know if you're like widowed or maybe you're separated or divorced or, you've been single for a while. It's been a minute or I don't know, something. You might be married in a relationship and feeling very alone in life. I think that's true of a lot of people. And no judgment, about if you end up having kind of, this desire to one day be able to have a very involved relationship again or something that fulfills you in the way that you really need it to. Right? Now, it's not the thing that's going to fill you up all the way or fix your life or make things, meaningful. But there are parts of self where certain kinds of love are the only thing that can reach into those places, right? Or it feels that way anyways. And so I feel like for you, yeah, you're maybe kind of a romantic. Maybe you really want to have that deep, deep, deep connection with somebody. And I get that. Of course. I think we all get that. So I think there's a lot of dreaming about this, right? About this, having somebody that just, it feels easy with. And of course, so there's always hard times in relationships, but I feel like it's kind of this, it's easy to love this person. I don't even have to question it. There's not even, and a security, right? A sense of knowing how they feel, where they're at with it, and you're matching energy, right? So I feel that in this next period of time that you are really building towards having room in your life, in your heart, to actually receive this kind of partnership. Because there's a difference between really wanting, like, I really, really want to meet somebody. I really want to get married. I want to spend the rest of my years with this person. We'll do this, we'll do that. It'll be like this, it'll be like that. It lives in our head and it's beautiful. And probably it is obtainable, but there's a lot of stuff that leads up to that place of attainment, right? That place of realization. And part of that is likely getting to know new people, right? Having to go through the dating thing, maybe. I don't know. I've never been a person to like date myself. So I think of that and I get stressed out. I only really know about dating, through other people or TV or whatever. But yeah, there's this sense of, well, that's where I think the hang up starts, right? And I listen, I always say us Virgos are just like you Scorpios. You're just way cooler and you're more like, you have more confidence in being whatever you are, right? You don't care. You don't care what other people think. You're just going to do and say how you feel, right? And us Virgos, we're a little bit more like, we're about that life until we have to actually Till we actually have to stand on business. Sometimes, I mean, most of the time we do, but we're not as courageous as you Scorpios. But I do feel like, yeah, for you, it's like getting past that instinct to just do the cutoff. You're good at the cutoff. You like see one thing in somebody and you're like, nope, not for me. Well, it's like a long series of these kind of, I don't like that. I don't like the color of his belt. I don't like, the way she pronounces that word or, whatever it is. Like, we've all been there, right? Where we're just like looking for reasons. So I think that's the big thing. For you to really be working on making that space in your life. And also, being realistic with yourself about like, what is it actually going to be like to try to get to know somebody better, to be working on my relationship. Maybe it is something like going to, counseling together or making trying to figure out like what can you do to connect with each other, and sometimes it's about doing stuff we don't want to do, compromises and maybe getting into a hobby that our spouse really likes and they're spending time there, and now we're doing that thing because it allots us time together and whatever. I mean, sometimes we have to make these compromises. Now if it's something really like you can't get into, I'm trying to think of something that I would not do. Like if my husband, my husband over at Dove and Serpent Tarot, amazingly, all of our interests align pretty much. There's a few kinds of divination and stuff that I'm not, like geomancy. My husband does geomancy, and also he was studying astrology for a while there. But those are like, it seems cool to me, but it's not, it doesn't call to me, right? These things usually have to kind of like call to you. So there's some of them that I'm just like, I don't connect with that, have fun doing your studying and stuff with that, and some of the stuff I'm into, he doesn't, he doesn't care for, or he doesn't have a calling to, but pretty much we're into the same things. Now, I have been in situations where I had nothing in common with, my partner or whatever, but like, so I feel like there might be moments, right, where it's like, okay, I have to kind of maybe I do have to go play softball with them and their friends, right? Or whatever it is. And yeah, I do. I feel like not only is there a chance here for a really kind of potent connection and really activating that love space that I know that you are interested in dwelling in. I think you really want that. I do. I feel like you maybe are feeling a little more sentimental and kind of lovey-dovey than usual. But I do. I feel like this is a space where if this is something that you do want to focus on, there is an alignment that is going to really promote that kind of connection for you. Now, the other part of this is I feel like, and this is kind of my thinking, that as you are really kind of leaning into this energy of connecting romantically with others or a other, it's like it's like the universe is smiling at you. I mean, that's just really what it feels like. Like it is smiling at you. Things are walking into place. Everything is kind of coming together. And here, all of a sudden, you're starting to see some more money coming in. And I think it really is so much about your disposition. I feel like your spirits have been lifted and you are more proactive, you are more motivated, you are more willing to, do the extra work or, start the new project or side hustle or, whatever it is. It is bringing this kind of renewed energy to your life. And I think that is flowing over into your romantic section of your life. And it is flowing over into your wanting to, do self-work. And that's what that, spiritual alchemy is all about. It's not just focusing on one section of the tree of life. This is like, we're looking at the whole thing right now. Right? We're seeing where we need to really work on different fine tunings of the different spheres or different, if you could think of like your work life as a sphere, your personal life. And I mean like your sacred interior, right? Where nobody else dwells, your domestic life, your dream life, your daydreaming life. These are all like, if you could think of them as different places, different rooms of the great house, then you can start to see where things might not be aligned, where one part of your life might really be a detriment to another, where things are maybe kind of blocked up, where we need to kind of focus our energies and do some of that processing and integrating. And so I feel like you really are. You're very aware of the bigger picture for yourself. And I feel that you're also not just in a place of analysis, but in a place of doing, right? You really want to make the changes, not just look at them, right? Really want to make some changes. Now, we have a person looking at, and it almost looks like a plant coming out of the ground. We also have the number 101, but a plant coming out of the ground. But what's coming out is, the Ace of Wands, right? That very fiery electric energy. And this is the component that really brings life to things. Okay. If you could think of like, what is that called? Galvanism, I think. Or is it galvanism. Calvinism's really, galvanism. Where they would shock, they were learning about the nervous system, right, in humans. So they would take, and I don't know how I'm going to say this, people who are unalive, when they would do scientific testing on them, and they would shock them, right, the body parts, and it would move, it would spasm and move. And so we learned, right, electricity flows through us, and it activates the cells, right? And so this is like that key element coming into your life, that key. Now remember the key. And it comes into your life, and this will be the thing. Now maybe it's love. Maybe it's a creative vision. Maybe it's taking time off of work, giving yourself a break. Maybe it's working harder. Maybe it's getting that second job. Maybe it's starting that business. Whatever it is, this is going to be the thing. So when it shows itself to you, when you have this idea, when you are presented with an opportunity, take it. Because this is going to be the thing. It's unlocking this next part of your life. And I really feel that there is a harmonious future for you. And it's not far off. Not at all. Okay, now we're going to do 3 lucky numbers. Our first one is 54. 54. All right, 37. 37. And 20. 20. Okay, and we will finish with our wild offering affirmation cards, or oracle cards, I'm sorry. Wild offering oracle cards. Okay, and I just stop where it feels right because you don't want to watch me shuffle. Ambition. Yes, that's what we have. Ambition. May I offer all my deepest longings to love itself and invite a divine plan beyond the mind's imagining. Please use me for your highest good. Please use me for your highest good. All right. Well, my goodness. All right. Well, I want to tell you I love you because I do. And I thank you so much for being here with me today, Scorpio. It's always my greatest honor. Now, if you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you. If you have a prayer request, you can put that in the comment section. Other than that, yeah, I think that's it. Please drink lots of water. If you are somewhere where it's hot, drink lots of water. If you are somewhere where it's cold, I envy you. Stay warm, though. All right, so we'll talk soon. I love you. Take care of yourself. Good night.